Hello, I'm going to do a review of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by Frank L. Baum. I have this gorgeous edition by Mina Lima, and I picked this for my book club pick for my book club Tay's book club in June. And then life got crazy, I've got a baby, I just didn't read it, and then this month I read it, and oh my god, I have so much to say about it. So I chose it for the book club, and I'm going to, at the end of the video, read out your reviews and talk about what you thought of this book. So this is the first book in a series. He brought out this book, it was a huge success, and then he went on to write, I think there's 13 books in the series, but not all the books have Dorothy in them, so the next one, Dorothy isn't in it. So this is about a girl called Dorothy. I feel like everyone knows the story. A tornado rips her house up and throws it in Oz, and then it lands on a witch. And they all go, oh my god, you're so magical and amazing, you killed this witch. She then ventures to try and get back to her home, Kansas. And she meets people along the way. So she meets this scarecrow who she helps. She meets a cowardly lion. She meets a tin woodman. And then they go to Oz. And Oz is this great wizard who is going to send her back home and give them everything they want. So a heart, a brain, courage. I feel like you know the story. And then what Oz says, I need you to kill another witch. Because you killed that witch, you're obviously magical, and I think you can do it. I think you can kill the Wicked Witch of the West. I need you to go to her land and kill her. And every chapter there's just different little things going on. I loved, at the end there's a little chapter, it doesn't really add anything to the story, but I just loved it, and it was the chapter of the China City. So they go to this place where everyone is China ornaments, and they're all like cracking and like breaking, and then Dorothy says to one of them, you are so beautiful, you're such a beautiful ornament, they can talk and everything, they've got their own little community, why don't you let me take you back home with Kansas, and I'll put you on my little bookshelf and everything. And then we find out that ornaments, once they're in this city where they live with all the other ornaments, if they crack they can be glued back together and stuff, and it doesn't hurt them. But once they are taken out of the China City, they can no longer speak, they can't communicate, and so that's why none of them want to be on people's shelves. I just loved it, it was so unhinged. And so this it's an ornament of a princess, and she's saying, no, because I won't be able to talk, you know, here I'm free. Ornaments are free to live, but in your land we're not free, we can't communicate anymore, we lose our power. I just loved that unhinged element. Another element that was so unhinged was the scarecrow. Oh my god, he doesn't sleep. So he's the first one she meets, and then they stop at like a barn or something for her to rest for the night, and then it says the scarecrow, he can't sleep because he doesn't have any eyelids to close, so all night he was just standing in the corner. He said he was standing in the corner watching Dorothy, waiting for her to wake up. He was so creepy. I thought it had a lot of horror elements within it. It was quite bizarre and macabre. All these wolves get beheaded. It was all a bit much. It was so mental from start to finish, and I don't know if I'm going to read on in the series. Even though I loved this, I feel like it was such a perfect book in its own right, from like beginning to end. It was just perfect. And then obviously at the end she goes back to Kansas. It was stunning. I loved it. The unhinged moments just made it for me. And then there was this hill where this man has like a huge head, and if you get near him, his head like bangs at you, and there's loads. It just was so mad. It was getting madder and madder at the end as well. I feel like he really let go at the end and was like, okay, let's get into these ornaments, these magical ornaments. But the moral of the story is that all these things that they want, they've already demonstrated that they already have. So on their way to Oz to meet the Great Wizard Oz, to the Emerald City, they get into mini adventures, and in the adventures, so the lion's saying, I'm so cowardly, but in an adventure he basically leaps to their rescue and isn't cowardly, but they don't realise that what they want they already have. So this is the interactive version, so it's got loads of different bits within it. You got here obviously the yellow brick road, and it opens out, and then these stand up. It's an absolutely gorgeous edition. I would say if you're looking for an edition of the Wizard of Oz, there are so many beautiful editions, but this one I really love. You have these glasses which you take out and you can put on. I'll wear them for the rest of this video, I'll show you. And when you go into the Emerald City, you obviously pop your glasses on, so that everything is green, and these actually are tinted green, so you can see everything is green. I absolutely love that. So I'm now going to read your reviews. First up, I have a review from Amy Asap 25. I'm guessing it's like as soon as possible. Hi Hannah, so pleased you started up the book club again. I always looked forward to seeing what book you would choose. This was my first time reading The Wizard of Oz. When people said it would be different from the film, they really meant it. Oh my god, yeah. And also, a lot of it in the a lot of the scenes that are in the book that weren't in the Julie Garland film were in the Julie Garland film. They actually filmed it. So the whole bit in the forest, they had a whole song which was called Jitterbug, and it was them in the like haunted forest and all that. So they did film it, it just didn't make it to the final cut, and a lot of those clips you can find on YouTube. So if you look it up, original Wizard of Oz deleted scenes, they filmed loads. The shoes, like ruby red slippers, in this I think they were like glass slippers. I thought it would be a happy story, similar to the film. I was surprised to realise that there really was no Emerald City, yeah, oh my god, and that the people who lived there were incredibly gullible and go about their lives blindly following the orders of a so-called wizard that no one has ever seen, wearing glasses that are tinted green. I think that bit I was like, oh my god, when that was revealed later on that it's not green, I was like, what? I think what shocked me the most was how laid back the characters were to murder the scene where the Tin Man kills 40 wolves and had to pause, and then the Scarecrow joins in, twisting the heads of crows, and even the lion chops off the head of a beast. At least Dorothy killed it. It was an accident. I'm all for the belief that you shouldn't coddle children too much, and think it's very stupid how publishers nowadays don't want to use words like fat or ugly. But even this was too much for me. I felt like every other page characters were either arguing or killing something. I'm glad I read it, but don't think I will be continuing on with the other books in the series. Thank you for your comment. I don't think I'm going to read this to my son anytime soon. So my son's 1 year old, and I kind of thought the Wizard of Oz, because he's watched the Julie Garland Wizard of Oz, and he loved it because it's so bright, the colours, the old Hollywood, you know, and they really like saturated the colours. But I was thinking, I don't know what age I'd want him to read this, because the decapitating of the wolves was crazy. I did not see that coming. As I said, like, it's very macabre and sinister. And there's other books that are a bit like that, like Mary Poppins by P.L. Travis, but she's not murdering anyone in it. That's why I got the interactive version, because I thought, oh, you know, when I'm reading to him like a chapter at bedtime when he's older, then we can do the interactive bits of it. It's just like pulling out a page and like putting the little glasses on and stuff. But I don't know when that's going to be, because I was thinking maybe 7 would be when, but it's very, very violent for a 7-year-old, I think. Thank you, Amy, for your comment. I kind of agree with all your points in that. Next comment is from Lauren Rose _97. This was my first time reading The Wizard of Oz. As a child, I only watched the film. I love how the author describes the world of Oz, and I'm interested to read more. In this book, they actually had a map of Oz, because it's a bit confusing, I feel, without a map, to kind of understand there's different lands in Oz. And so when they go into the different lands, different people rule the different lands, and I found that a bit confusing, but they did have a map. And it's like a real world though, isn't it? Like the way it's so thought out, it's crazy. It's like a Lord of the Rings for kids. It's an adventure book. So it does have that kind of Lord of the Rings going on a quest, adventure within it, but it's for children. But then it's so macabre, I don't even know who it was written for. Thank you for your comment, Lauren. I then have a comment from October Girl. October Girl, I follow you on Instagram. Every time you put up something on your story, I love the things that you like repost on your story. I'm like watching your stories every day. Anyway, you said, I read it as a child, but I really want your edition. I really like, how old were you, October Girl? That's like our debate now. How old were you when you read Wizard of Oz? Did it give you nightmares? Were you a bit older, maybe it didn't give you nightmares? It's just really creepy central, and that's why I personally like it. Like, I'm a fan of Tim Burton, I'm a fan of kind of creepy books, you know, horror is my favourite genre and everything, so I really enjoyed this, but I don't know if that's what the author was really going for, a very creepy book with a lot of murders, a lot of killing of animals. There's a lot of animals slaughtered throughout the book. But I have like animals by, you know, well, I suppose they're not animals. The lion's an animal, but like by the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman. Toto's hardly in it as well. I feel like Toto got a really starring role in the Julie Garland film, but Toto's like barely in the book. Like he's getting himself wrapped up in trees, like getting himself in trouble. But I don't know why I thought there was going to be like a perspective from Toto in it. I almost thought the story would be told a little bit from Toto, like he would maybe talk. I don't know why I thought Toto could talk. I don't know what that was about. Tell me what your opinions are on this book, and if you've read on in the series, is it worth reading on in the series? I don't feel like I need to now. I've still got some series. I've got Mary Poppins series to finish. I've got Anna Green Gables series to finish, so I'm not really rushing to read on in this. But tell me, if you have read on, are they good to read on, or are none of them really as good as the first book? Because I feel that a bit with some books. Like, you know, Jill Murphy's The Worst Witch. I feel like the first Worst Witch book is the best book. And the others are good, but the first Worst Witch, but it just has like a start and an end to it, which I really like. It's not setting you up for the next book. And yeah, just some books are great standalone, I think, personally. So I'm going to end this here. Tell me what your opinions are on this book, and I will see you again tomorrow, maybe. I'm like always doing daily videos for another video.
Fell through the ground.